doing it. And it made me kick myself in the butt a few times and say, you know, what were you thinking? You know, and a few things too where I gave myself a pat on the back and said, hey, you were all right that time, man, you know.
Is there anything looking back on it during this process that you might have done differently?
Well, yeah, but that's a rhetorical question because you can't.
Yes.
You know, and what you are today is the sum total of all your screw-ups and all of your mistakes, as well as all of your triumphs and your tragedies. You know, it all goes together. So looking back and after writing a book about it, no. No, I wouldn't do it differently. You know?
That was a test, and you just passed it with flying colors. Would you like to sing for us now?
Sure.
Okay, good thing. Accompanied by Brigham Phillips, David Clayton-Thomas will perform a couple of standards.
Pleasure, man.
My pleasure. From and no, I'm not going to sing. From his album Soul Ballads.
Well, we didn't quite know what we were going to do for y'all tonight, and of course we couldn't. Symphony Orchestra. But speaking of Toronto Symphony Orchestra, the gentleman with me is my musical director, and if anybody saw the Massey Hall concerts, and I know there were a few people because they told me up front how much they enjoyed them, Brigham was the conductor of the Toronto Symphony Orchestra that night. So we debated on what to do. I'd like to do one song from the new album. There's a new album called Soul Ballads. It will be out in a few days, very shortly. It's all done and it's ready to come. It's going to be on Universal. But before that, there is a song. I tried to think of what song have I sung in every single performance since 1968. And I can only think of one. Brigham? Shall get that it's not showing. So the Bible says, and it still is news, 'cause Mama may have, and Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. And the strong seem to get more, while the weak ones fade. Empty pockets don't ever make the grade, 'cause Mama may have, I know your Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. The money you got, lots of friends, crowded outside your door. When your money's gone and all that spending ends, can stand up and say, oh Lord, I've got my own. Thank you. We had no rehearsal on this at all. Brigham, by the way, plays trumpet and is musical director in my band. We've never done this before. Actually, this is the first time I've ever heard him play keyboards. Now, the new album. Back in June, I found out that the book was being released September 7th. And then I got the wonderful news that on October 16th, I'm getting my star on the Walk of Fame here in Toronto. I'll be right in between Shania Twain and Nelly Furtado. Forever. Man. That's immortality. Anyway, so it occurred to me that I hadn't released an album in 4 years. The last album was called The Evergreens, and it was a wonderful project. And unfortunately, my closest friend and musical collaborator for over 40 years, a Canadian national treasure, Order of Canada, one of our most brilliant musicians, Doug, Dr. Music Riley. We had been recording an album together, and on the final days of recording, coming back from Calgary, he had a heart attack on the plane and passed away. And it knocked the pins out from underneath me, musically. Because when I left New York in 2004 and moved back to Canada, a great deal of that motivation was to collaborate with Doc again. And we had known each other for so many years. I mentioned the Blue Note. We went back to those days. And we had known each other and been best friends for 45 years. So it kind of knocked the creative pins out from underneath me, and probably one of the reasons why I turned to writing the book, because I just couldn't envision getting back into music and writing new music without Doc. And it took a couple of years for that to heal. And that was the reason why I hadn't recorded in 4 years. And that, and the fact that it took almost 2 years to write the book. But anyway, come June, and I found out about the Walk of Fame, and the book was now going to get published by a major publisher, and it was coming out in September. And a few people said to me, you know, it's time to get back in the studio and make a new album. And I was baffled. How can I possibly write a new album by September? It's already almost July. You know, there's no way. So driving up to Montreal, I stopped in Coburg to have coffee with an old friend. His name's Lou Pamonti. Lou is another brilliant Toronto musician. He had just come off a tremendous success with the writing and arranging of Michael Bublé's new album, the Crazy Love album. So he was riding very high, and I stopped in just to congratulate him, and I told him about my quandary. How the hell am I going to get an album ready in 3 months? It just can't be done. And he said, you know what, now's the time. I've been urging you to do this for years, okay? I've always wanted to hear you sing an album of the great soul ballads that I heard you sing back on Yonge Street 40 years ago. When a Man Loves a Woman, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, Otis Redding, Ray Charles, Sam Cooke, you know.